The brickwork of your home is not a barrier. It is an open, vertical highway for an ancient, fluid nightmare. It stretches its anatomy to slide down into the warmth of your living room. If you hear a soft, rhythmic scratching sound coming from the deep soot inside your fireplace right now, do not assume it's wind. That muffled, dragging friction is the sound of an ancient, boneless mass of prehistoric malice compressing its shifting geometry into the narrow brick flue. Deep within the frozen, lightless canopies of the northern wilderness, centuries ago, the indigenous clans shared a terminal truth about the dark. They called the shifting entity the Hearth Strangler, an ancient amoebic predator made of living, semi-liquid shadow. The tribal elders passed down strict laws, warning hunters to never leave a cooking fire unmonitored during the winter solstice. The monster was drawn directly to the smell of burning wood and human body heat, tracking smoke like a physical rope. It would hover over the smoke holes of longhouses, waiting for embers to fade before dropping down to consume everyone below. In December of 1865, a party of 7 gold miners established a stone cabin deep inside the unexplored Cascade Range. The cabin was a fortress with a massive stone fireplace designed to keep out the brutal mountain frost. Local native scouts refused to step near the valley, warning that the stone structure was merely a beautifully decorated trap. The leader, Silas Vance, laughed at their warnings, ordering his men to keep the fireplace roaring 24 hours a day. By the night of the winter solstice, a violent blizzard trapped the men inside, piling heavy snow against the oak door. The air grew thick with an unnatural static electricity that made their arm hairs stand up. Suddenly, the roaring flames inside the fireplace shifted from warm orange to a pale, sickly chemical green. A young miner named Thomas pointed his trembling finger at the heavy brick chimney structure above the hearth. A dense, oily black residue began to ooze from the cracks in the stone, bubbling as if it were boiling. "Something is blocking the flue," Thomas whispered, as a low, wet, whistling sound echoed from the dark interior. The native guide screamed at the men to clear the area. "Extinguish the fire now. It is using the smoke to climb down." Vance refused, aiming his heavy iron pistol at the chimney opening. "Nothing can survive that heat. It's just gas." As he spoke, a massive column of pure shadow dropped from the flue, instantly suffocating the fire. The room fell into a pitch-black darkness so intense that the miners could not see their own hands. The temperature dropped 60 degrees in a single breath, freezing sweat into sharp ice crystals. Then the sliding sound began. A wet, heavy friction, like a massive sack of raw liver being dragged across the floor. Thomas screamed, a sound of pure terror that was cut short by a wet, muffled choking noise. The miners scrambled for lanterns, their matches snapping in their frantic, freezing fingers. When Vance finally struck a match, the flickering light revealed a sight that froze the blood in his chest. Thomas was suspended in the air, his body enveloped by a translucent, shifting mass of black goo. The shapeless shadow was forcing its fluid anatomy directly down the boy's throat, expanding his neck. The match flared out. Another scream tore through the darkness, followed by a sickening, wet deflation. Ancient accounts from early Spanish explorers mention entire expeditions found dead inside missions, their bodies perfectly intact but hollowed out. The soldiers were found facing cold hearths, their mouths stretched wide in a permanent, silent scream. The priests noted that the brick chimneys were permanently coated in a strange, non-biological soot. The monster tracks its prey by the carbon dioxide we exhale, using our breathing as a direct chemical map. By the third hour of darkness, only Vance and 2 mercenaries were left alive, huddled in the far corner. Their weapons were useless. Bullets passed cleanly through the shifting shadow mass into the walls. They could hear the entity reshaping itself, mimicking the basic outline of a human form, but failing miserably. It possessed no face, yet it radiated an intense intelligence that filled the room with a sense of doom. "It wants the heat," Vance whispered, his teeth chattering violently as the cold began to shut down his organs. The shadow glided forward, its perimeter expanding to cover the remaining men like a heavy, suffocating blanket. Vance's journal ends with a terrifying scrawl. The chimney is wide open and the sky has turned black. When the rescue party excavated the cabin, they found no bones, no blood, and no signs of a struggle. They found 7 empty piles of miners' clothes sitting in a semicircle in front of the massive fireplace. The boots were still laced, but the meat, muscles, and souls of the men had been vacuumed up into the flue. The Hearth Strangler is not a relic of forgotten frontier lore or an old campfire tale. It has survived through the centuries, migrating from remote wilderness cabins into modern, unsuspecting cities. Every time you turn off your lights and feel a sudden draft of freezing air hit your ankles, look toward the hearth. That drop in temperature is the atmospheric displacement created when the shadow compresses itself to enter your home. It is looking down at you right now through the dark vertical shafts, tracking the warmth of your breathing. By listening to this story, you have focused your mind on the entity, allowing its frequency to anchor into your environment. The Department of Urban Safety keeps hundreds of missing person files listing one chilling commonality. Victims vanish from locked houses, leaving clothes behind, while chimneys are coated in oily black goo. The police report these as simple missing persons, but specialized inspectors always check the roof vents first. They put steel caps over the flues, but a fluid nightmare can slide through a gap less than 1 millimeter wide. You will be sitting in your room tonight when you hear a soft, wet plop echo from the darkness of your fireplace. Your chest will tighten as your instincts realize that the safety of your locked door has been bypassed from above. You will raise your phone light toward the hearth, but the light will simply die out as it hits the center of the room. You will see a mass of light-absorbing blackness sliding across your carpet, reaching for the legs of your chair. The air will turn bitter, freezing the moisture in your nasal passages as the stench of burnt ozone fills your throat. You will try to scream, but your vocal cords will feel frozen by the localized vacuum taking over the room. The shadow will expand, rising up toward your ceiling like a massive wave of liquid midnight. It will press against your face, its cold anatomy forcing its way past your lips, filling your chest. The miners of 1865 are waiting for you inside the dark subterranean vents, their clothes rotted into the mud. Your personal history and identity are being systematically unraveled by the ancient presence inside your chimney. The extraction is silent, taking less than 3 seconds to separate your consciousness from the flesh. Tomorrow, your family will find your device still playing on the floor next to a neat pile of your empty clothes. They will never think to look up into the dark interior of the flue. You will be part of the shadow now, an extension of an ancient hunger that has been sliding through homes forever. The transition is nearly complete. Your fingers are growing numb against your device as the cold takes hold. The rhythm of your heartbeat is slowing to a terminal crawl, matching the pulsing darkness in your room. Do not look at the dark corners of the ceiling. You will only see the shapeless mass preparing its final descent. The vacuum is sealing the doors shut. The outside traffic has vanished, replaced by the wet friction of sliding goo. The Cherokee hunters were right to fear the smoke hole. Civilization only provides a chimney for the nightmare to climb down. Your logic has failed you. Your modern security system cannot alarm against a predator without a skeletal structure. It is wrapping around your neck now, a cold, fluid collar that tightens with every breath. Feel the weight of the soot pressing down against your brow as your vision splinters into lightless fragments. The Hearth Strangler is satisfied with your temperature. It has found a perfect warm repository. Your name is fading, replaced by the crushing geometry of the narrow brick chimney pipe you're about to ascend. Now close your eyes for the last time, accept the freezing void, and slide up into the blackness of the flue forever.